week, Brittney Griner was released from the Russian penal colony that she had been in. I think after 298 days,
Ooh,
she was in the Russian prison. And so definitely something, I think to celebrate and to be, happy about. But
definitely.
yeah, but what I want to talk about today, and I got a couple of snippets to share, a couple of things that I want to talk about. We'll highlight the show, or excuse me, we'll highlight what happened with Brittney Griner. We'll highlight a little bit of what happened with the release, how she got released. But I really, really want to have a conversation about the reactions that I saw pertaining to it. It was some very, very mixed emotions, a lot of happy people, but then I was really kind of disappointed to see a lot of people who weren't so happy about her release, that found issue with it, and specifically Christians, people, in church. So really think there's a lesson. There's some things in there that we could talk through to really, really understand, the church and how we represent God, how we represent each other. So that's kind of the point or the take that I want to, have for this particular show. That's the main thing we'll talk about. There's some other interesting things that happened over last week. Herschel Walker did not win in Atlanta. I have to be honest, and this has nothing to do with politics, but thank God. I, I tell people all the time, and we try not to get too political on this show, but because no matter who you vote for, Democrat or Republican, there's definitely some opportunity in both camps. But I like leadership, and the representation that I saw that would have happened if he was elected, and it was pretty close, would be, I don't know. I can't think of any good things or a good way to put that, but so, the first thing I want to do, and Sonia, are you familiar at all with the Brittney Griner situation?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've been following since they arrested her.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And since when they said she had the CBD oil in the bag and stuff, and I was like, well, you're probably not going to sell it, or, it's the oil. I was like, I was really trying to wrap my mind around, and her being in sports, because my sister, they was explaining to me that a lot of athletes use it on their joints and muscles and stuff.
Medical reasons.
That's why it's that's why it's in the oil form. So I was like, that don't look like distribution of narcotics. It didn't seem like it was going to be selling for much. You know what I mean? So I was like,
Yeah. I mean, I've heard different takes on it. One from the illegal standpoint, one that she should have known, what the legalities are of, or, in Russia of that type of thing. I really think it was more so bad timing. Because that was the beginning of, or when the Ukraine war was about to start.
Oh, yes.
So I think that was just really bad timing, altogether. But so she spent 298 days there. In order to get her released, basically we did a prisoner swap. And so, the first thing that I think I'm hearing that people have had issues with, and again, we'll delve a little bit more on it, was that we traded her for, can't think of his name right now, but I think he was called
the arms dealer.
Yeah, arms dealer. They called him the merchant of death. Apparently, he was probably one of the most wanted men in the world. He did a lot of training. I kind of watched a couple of videos to get prepared for this show, to try to really understand who he is. But a lot of the major conflicts that's happened, probably over the last couple of decades, he's helped, kind of provide some of the weapons for them, and things like that. So really, a really, really bad guy. I did hear a take though that he's actually wanted in so many different countries. So,
Mm,
even with Russia taking him over, other countries want him extradited, to their
mm,
country so they can trial him. So I really don't know, how that piece works. But apparently, that's what we had to do to get Brittney Griner back. And so, the first kind of negative take that I've heard was that we shouldn't have traded her for, such a bad man. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I think in this conversation, I have a video I want to play first from a um, Christian influencer that I have high regard for. I think he's been doing it for a while, has a lot of subscribers, and I want to play a piece of his take on this particular subject. But she's back. She's back. I believe she got back last Tuesday, maybe Monday or Tuesday. Seems to be and held in high regard. Again, I think the underlying thing that you're going to hear when we hear this video is, her status with the LGBT community. I think that is a big negative issue for some of the Christian, people who have pause with her not being, or how she was released. I think we got Dion coming on just in time. I want to play this little snippet here. The snippet that when I play it is going to start with he's reviewing something that Biden said when she was brought back, on the reason why she was brought back, and then he's going to go over a scripture, and then kind of want to back in it from there. All right, so this is from the YouTube influencer. His name is Nick Jones. Again, this is Nick Jones. A video he put up last week. It's called Brittney Griner's Release proves that the Bible is 100% true.
Just so I understand exactly the phrase that he said.
Is an incomparable athlete, a two-time Olympic gold medalist for Team USA. She endured mistreatment at a show trial in Russia with characteristic grit and incredible dignity. She represents the best about America. It is across the board, everything about her.
She represents the best about America across the board, everything about her. She represents the best about America across the board, everything about her. Everything about her. This world no longer values what used to be good. What sorrow for those who say that evil is good and good is evil. This world no longer values what used to be good. The traditional values of marriage, the traditional values of faith, people who put their lives on the line for this country. This world no longer values that. Instead, we idolize and we value celebrities, professional athletes, people in position of status, of influence. This is who we look up to. This is who we call good. No matter what they do, even if they do break the law, we still call it injustice.
And let me preface this by saying, this is nothing against my thoughts or my feelings about it. Has nothing to do with Nick Jones. Again, I think he's a respected influencer in the Christian community on YouTube. A lot of videos that he posts, I really have. I'm very fond of. I think they're right on point. Comes from a real good point. But I think my concern with this is a couple of things. You know what? Before I do, yeah, I've had the opportunity to kind of process this video, and so I have some thoughts on it. But I'm kind of curious, from you two. Do you agree with him? What was your stance? When it came to her being, released, the circumstances that she was being released. What were your thoughts, initially about that?
I really think that she should have been brought home when they first put her in there with the CBD oil. And most athletes use it on their body, no matter what kind of lifestyle, whatever you think they got. To go to a Russian prison to get sentenced to 9 years, it's like that's very harsh. That's ridiculous. I don't care what you think about them and what you say. Let's let the time fit the crime. This is over the top. You got to go to prison, and a Russian prison. Their prison is not like ours. She from here, and they say she broke the law. See, I don't know much about CBD and traveling. Would you go to jail here if you were traveling with it? You know what I mean? I'm serious. Like, is it a crime here?
I don't think it's a crime here. And that's kind of the narrative that I've heard, and I think that's wisdom for all of us to kind of gain. When you go to these other countries, I think it's really important for you to understand their statutes and laws, just to help avoid situations like that. Because there are certain countries, and I believe Russia is one of them, that they take a stronger stance on drugs, on things. And then specifically, I'm pretty sure they take a stronger stance when, it has something to do with war and making sure that the U.S. and, kind of stays in a position of non-bias when it comes to, what's been happening. So, twofold, again, I completely agree. From the American standpoint, I don't think our laws are as egregious for the type of crime, that Russia was saying that she committed. But I think their laws are a lot stricter when it comes to that in particular. And then, I'm pretty sure they enforced it to its full extent, based off of the circumstances.
And
of where they
because she's an American citizen, I think immediately she need to come back because of getting tried. And then Russian prisons not like American prisons. And then, like I said, I don't think the crime didn't fit the time. Let's be just. 9 years really for some CBD oil. He wasn't going to distribute it. I don't know how high you can get off CBD oil. Now, I don't know much about it, haven't used it, but I'm not sure she could get the country high. I'm not sure she was going to solicit and try to, hurt people, and she was going to sell a lot. I don't think it was no gain. I don't think it was, with the intent to solicit. So you have to go with the intent. Like, I know other countries have other laws, but what is the intent? Like, really, you're going to get 9 years for some CBD oil. Like, I think that's ridiculous. And because she's an American citizen, get her back to America. That's exactly what I feel, what I think, whatever you think about her lifestyle and all of that stuff. She's still American. She's still a person, still human. They got rights. Get the girl back home and let's let the crime fit the time. That's what I think in a nutshell.
I'm in agreement with that.
In looking at the video, one thing that stood out to me was I felt like dude was a little judgmental,
Okay.
and that particular part of it, it doesn't take into account, and I'm not excusing what she did or whatever. I'm saying, from the standpoint, let's understand that we're Christians, which means we are Christ-like. We try to emulate Christ and be like Christ. We're not Christ. We're not perfect, and everybody from the bishops on down to the pews, has things that they do that are not in accordance even with the laws of the church, even with the laws of the land or whatever. And so from that standpoint, I'm not asking for her to be excused in any kind of way, but where's the compassion? Where is that particular aspect of it in what he was saying? He was just like, we do have a problem catering to athletes and people of status or whatever as a country, as a society. I get that. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, we have to take into account that people have, different things. Even if it was not CBD, even if it was actual weed, if it was a sack of weed, she should still, get some kind of benefit of the doubt at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Because, a lot of people, whether they go to church every week or not, smoke weed or have CBD oil or whatever the case may be. They got some habits.
Right.
Look at somebody and say they got some habits. So,
is it for medicinal reasons though? They got glaucoma. They got glaucoma. They
listen,
help
whatever their reasons. They got problems. They got glaucoma. They got
they like that pressure behind that eye. That's that pressure in that eye.
They might have pressure.
Hopefully they get delivered one habit at a time.
Yeah, we got to be more compassionate, man, as a whole. And if we're gonna come at somebody, we need to come at them from that place. Let's love them back to redemption. You know what I'm saying? Let's not jump on them or pile on them when they make a mistake or whatever. Because so many times that's what happens now. With this whole cancel culture and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure people are gonna be gunning for her not to come back to basketball or not to be able to do this or not to be able to do that. She's out. At the end of the day, whatever you mad about, whatever you feel should have been done differently or what you would have done if you were the president, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. She's out. She's on the streets, So let's, try to move forward with her and with us as a whole, as, as Christians as a whole, to do our very best to, be a body. We're so disjointed and dysfunctional, as a whole right now. Because we got people going this way, we got people going that way. We spread all out.
So Dion, that leads me to kind of one of the places I wanted to take this, right? In his video, and I'm gonna be super fair. Again, we didn't play the whole video. He did start off by saying that he was happy that she was released. I think his main thing was the young man Waylon, who's a Marine over there. The narrative soon began that he was somebody that was on the table as an option to be released as well. From what I'm understanding and everything that I've understood about the situation, or I've been, kind of privy on about that, the news that I've seen, he really wasn't an option. He wasn't, the situation that he's over there for, they said that he was a spy. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure I'm accurate on this. He's been there since 2018. When Trump was president. I'm even hearing that Trump had, a couple of opportunities of, helping to do something. This was the first time I've even heard of Waylon when Brittney was released. And so I think my concern with that, because the young man, he didn't delve on it as much